So the Indiana Fever have fired their head coach, Christie Sides, after this year. This is a move that a lot of people have called for and a lot of people have been wanting to happen. It's a move some people are even celebrating, and that's cool. That's their right. Um, for me personally, I'm never going to celebrate somebody losing their job. That's a tough way to go. I hate to see that, especially to be so publicly. I don't have anything against Christie Sides personally. To me, she handled herself with class this year. I like the way she stayed off social media and really helped the team, really stay insulated. I think she's a big part of that and deserves a lot of credit for what she's done. With that said, I do think it was the right move. I definitely think it was the right move. I think they really needed to move forward with a different coach. She just didn't seem prepared to be coaching a generational talent like Caitlin Clark. Just seemed like she had a very uninspired offensive set. They never really had a half court set that they could go to. Like when they're struggling, they needed a bucket. That's when she really seemed to be at her worst all around. She never had like a set play that she would go to, where they could, have their best shot at just getting a bucket and, stopping the momentum. She was not good about calling timeouts properly. She let the team go on way too long, the opposing team's going way too long of runs before finally calling timeout and kind of easing the bleeding, so to speak. Some of her lineup changes were just pretty head scratching. There's a lot of stuff I've talked about all year, and people have talked about ad nauseum. I just don't think she was really set up for this. She did quite a few good things. I mean, obviously when she took over the Fever, they were not good. She spent a lot of time as an assistant coach. She did her due diligence for a long time, did her time as an assistant. I do hope she lands on her feet somewhere else, but it was pretty obvious the Fever needed a new coach. She did have Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark land in her lap in consecutive years, and it just didn't seem to really have the imagination to run an offensive set and a defensive set for these generational talents. She really seemed, first of all, I don't think she used Aaliyah Boston right. She really wanted to use her as just your traditional in the post player, whereas Leah, I feel like can be more of a stretch player. She has a very solid mid-range game. I feel especially for somebody her size. She can do a lot. I think she's an above-average passer for somebody her size and her position. She really seemed to gel well with Caitlin. Caitlin seems to be the one that, or Leah seems to be the one Caitlin gelled with first, and then her and Kelsey, Caitlin, Kelsey, and Aaliyah really gelled together, and Lexi Hull as well. I just feel like she never really took advantage of their skill sets. So I applaud the move. I think they did the right thing. Like I said, it's tough to see somebody get fired, especially somebody like her that, I don't feel did anything, offensive or bad. She just wasn't the right fit, and I get that. I mean, that had to happen. I feel like it's a move that had to happen. I'm not going to celebrate it. I hope she finds her way on her feet. As for their place, I know there's some talk out there. I mean, it seems like Stephanie White seems to be the number one talking point. She's been the coach for the Connecticut Sun the last few years. They've had very impressive regular seasons. Always made it in the playoffs. Always seemed to be a high seed in the playoffs, even though it looks like the talent level might not be quite what we thought it was. She seems to have a lot more imagination. Looking back to the 2-game playoff series that the Connecticut Sun played under Stephanie White when they played Caitlin Clark in the Fever, she just seemed to really outcoach Christie Sides and have a lot more, I hate to keep saying imagination, but she really kind of knew, how to use something like Marina Mayberry, to let her pick her spots. And obviously Caitlin Clark's not Marina Mayberry. Marina Mayberry is nowhere close to Mayberry. Is nowhere close to being Caitlin Clark, but I just feel like I feel like she can really take each player and design a system around them and see what their talents are, which is something Christie Sides I don't feel like ever really did. So I think she'd be a great choice. Looks like she's thinking about either going back to the Sun or the Chicago Sky or the Fever. Now, obviously, the Fever to me would make the most sense of all. I mean, first and foremost, just because they're the team that, everybody's looking at and everybody's watching. This is your chance to really, really be, etch your name in history. Because if the Fever can win a championship with Caitlin Clark, they will remember her forever. They can win multiple championships with Caitlin Clark. She'll go down as one of the all-time basketball coaches ever. Any sport, or any gender, whatever. She has a chance to really, really cement herself. The Chicago Sky as an organization are quite frankly a dumpster fire right now. It's a personal challenge. If it's a personal challenge for her to turn a team around, that would be one to turn around. But there's going to be a lot of headache and stress and very little reward to that as far as fanfare. Now, I don't know if she's after that or not. She could very well be somebody who is like, okay, I know what I've done. That's all that matters to me. If that's the case, who knows? She might choose the Sky. I know Angel Reese would definitely like that. She could, definitely design an offense and defense where Angel is at her best and taking advantage of her amazing yet limited skill set. Or she could stay at the Sun, but quite frankly, it looks like she's kind of taken them as far as she can go. That team just doesn't really, to me, I think she's overachieved with them. And they had a very good coach before her. Can't think of his name off the top of my head, but yeah, I mean, obviously, when Dejanay Carrington, and I know I've talked a lot about her, I know there's a personal dislike, but, it's just to looking at it, as I feel as objectively as possible, she's just not somebody that's going to be a major contributor for a winner. She's like a 5 to 7 minute a game person at best for a winner. I know she got most improved player, and I think you have to really thank Stephanie White for that. Alyssa Thomas, playoff AT, she just really seems to have a very well-defined ceiling, whereas Caitlin Clark does not have a ceiling. DeWanna Bonner, doing well for her age, but, I mean, she, Father Time's going to catch up with her, and I don't see her doing much for much longer. The Father Time for men and women catch up to you eventually. And so, to me, the Fever are definitely the best bet for her. And then you throw in the fact that she played for the Fever during their inaugural seasons way back in 2000 and even was an assistant coach for them under Lynn Dunn when they won their championship in 2012. She just seems to me like she'd be crazy not to take the Fever's offer unless they ridiculously lowball her. Which I don't think they'll do. This new management group seems to be intent on doing what it takes to get the right people in there. They made some fantastic front office moves already, it looks like, and I think Stephanie White would be a great move, and it would be good to see, how they do that, how they handle the draft, and how they continue the personnel going forward. And obviously, hopefully, get Melissa Smith out of there. That's another thing. Christie Sides, I feel like, put way too much into Melissa Smith. And Melissa Smith let her down, especially when they played the Sun, and especially in that playoff series. She just was not ready to take on her girlfriend, and she really, really, really hurt her. And even Christie Sides eventually had to just say, "Okay, I got to take you out." And she had very, very limited minutes in that last game. So, be interesting to see what they do. Some other names have been thrown out there, but nothing really concrete. I know Cheryl Miller is always a possibility. She coached Caitlin in the All-Star game, looked very, very good. And obviously she's the GOAT of the pre-WNBA era of women's basketball. And who knows, maybe it'll be pretty interesting to see if she can, help Caitlin Clark become what it looks like she's going to become, which is the GOAT of the WNBA era. It'd be pretty interesting. It'd be like if Bill Russell could have coached Michael Jordan, Fortunately, Bill Russell wasn't all that great of a coach, but he was definitely the GOAT for a long time until Michael Jordan kind of took that away respectfully. So that would be interesting. I'd still like to see Larry Bird do it personally, but with the Indiana connection, the fact that, to me, Caitlin Clark's game reminds me the most of Larry's. That understanding of spatial awareness on the court, the crazy passes, understanding where everybody is and what you have to do, and everything involved there. So, and plus, hey, if you want to entice them, just say, look, Bill Laimbeer, who Larry Bird hates, and a lot of people do not like at all, but hey, he's got, 2 or 3 WNBA championships as a coach. Come here for about 5 or 6 years, get about 3 or 4 titles so you can at least match him in that and throw it in his face, so. Yeah, I think Stephanie White would be a good choice. Like I said, hate it for Christie Sides, hate it for my light in my car that decided to go out. And, I just, I mean, I hate to see somebody get fired. It was the right choice. It had to happen. It's kind of a brutal game out there. It's kind of a brutal world, but I think she'll land on her feet. And like I said, the right decision was made, I feel like, and hopefully they don't make another wrong decision. I just think with Christie Sides as their coach, the Fever were not going to reach their potential. Could they have won a championship with her at some point? Yeah, I mean, probably. But they're looking a lot more right now. They're looking at championship contention next season and multiple championship contention. So, especially with expansion coming, Golden State this upcoming season. I think Toronto the season after that, or 2 seasons from now. I don't know what it is, but it's going to start watering down some of these teams. They won't be able to stack as much talent like they have, and that's going to help somebody like Caitlin Clark. So it's the right move. Like I said, I hate it for Christie, but it was the right move. So hope Christie lands on her feet, and looking forward to see where the Fever go from here. So thank you guys so much for watching these videos, and talk to you again soon.